Hey folks, today it is September the 21st, and for Civ 1, we're going to talk about the first half of Chapter 9. That looks like an I with an X, and that's going to be over Persian Wars. So we're going to talk about why did Persia get angry at the Greeks, specifically the Athenians, and we start having a major war over this. We're going to start discussing it in a few minutes. The terms on the board are Ionia, Lydia, Cyrus the Great, Darius, and why did Persia attempt to invade Greece? So, all right, kids, I have a couple more minutes. Try to find another image for my slides real quick. It's great, right? Already 9:01. It is quiet. It's a pretty quiet day. It's a rainy day. It's a Monday. Well, it's supposed to be a rainy day. It hasn't rained yet. They said it's supposed to rain. It's not going to rain. You're getting hurricanes down south or tropical storms or something. Well, they can do that. Yeah, they can make tornadoes.
Oh, it's in Greek.
Yep. Greek alphabet.
Ochre, Khan. This looks like Russian. Is it Russian? I think it's in Russian.
I don't know. Cyrillic and Greek kind of look the same to me. I can't really tell much.
Yeah, it's Russian.
I don't know. I think it's Greek.
Doesn't look Russian.
Yeah, that looks great.
I had like that weird A thing. Have you seen Russian?
Yeah, but the Russians got their alphabet from the Greek alphabet. Cyrillic was made by a guy who spoke Russian Greek. So, hey, all right, kids, go ahead and begin. So, today we're going to talk about Ionia, Lydia, Cyrus the Great, Darius, and why did Persia attempt to invade Greece? So, for today's images, I have a map here that outlines, of course, the Greeks we've been talking about. So Sparta's over here, Athens, who we've been talking about, is over here. And of course, like the Oracle Delphi is up here somewhere. Now, what we have over here is, remember, we talked about the Greek cities would send out colonists. Well, Athens, who came from the Ionian tribe, is going to send people out here along the coast. Since all these people are from that tribe, they're going to call themselves Ionians. So this area is going to be called Ionia. You're going to have a super rich country we talked about before called Lydia take over the cities here. But really, they just wanted to be in charge and get some taxes and have access to the ports. They didn't like conquer them, like destroy their cities and enslave their people, as we've seen the Greeks do in the past. However, you're going to have the rise of the Persian Empire. Over here in ancient Babylon, uh, between the two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, the area we call, not the Levant, the Mesopotamia, thanks. So you're going to have Babylonia. Well, the Babylonians fight in like a really ancient kind of way where they use chariots, bronze-based weapons, and things like that, kind of like the ancient Egyptians or the ancient Hebrews. Well, the Babylonians, if you know this, by this time had already conquered Israel, and we have this time called the Babylonian exile, where the Jewish people, for the most part, are going to be captured and brought back to Babylon. However, next to this region, you're going to have a group of people who are horseback riding people. They're very good at things like archery and fighting very quickly, kind of like raiders. Well, these tribes are going to be banded together by a guy named Cyrus. Instead of just raiding, Cyrus is going to take over these areas and keep them. And eventually, using these fast, good horsemanship tactics, they're going to take over Babylon and expand. See, they're eventually going to take over Egypt. They're going to expand all the way and take half of India. Yeah, they don't take the whole thing. They're going to move on. When they're talking about the Scythians, these are barbaric people who live on the southern part of kind of like Russia and Eastern Europe. They're going to move on into Macedonia, where eventually we're going to have the story of Alexander the Great. And so they're taking Greek lands, Mesopotamian lands, Egyptian lands. This, like here, we got like Afghanistan, Pakistan, places like that, all the way into India. So it's a huge, sprawling empire. And like your book said, when the Persians take over, they're very good about integrating the people into their empire. It's a very big multicultural empire with a lot of different religions and languages and races and stuff like that. However, the person at top is going to be the emperor. He's going to call himself the King of Kings. And everyone in the empire is considered his slave. So if he needs troops, you have to be one of his soldiers. You have to pay taxes, but otherwise he left you alone. So it was able to kind of keep them together rather loosely. He's going to build roads, temples, coins, and it's going to be a pretty big deal. Now, if you remember, there's the myth of King Midas with the gold touch. So your book mentions for sure King Midas was probably a real person, but of course, I don't think he had a magical curse where he's walking around turning people to gold, like his daughter in the story.
He also had donkey's ears.
Donkey's ears?
Yes,
Oh.
because he was like, I think Pan's a better musician than Apollo. And then
Ah,
Apollo was like, you must have donkey's ears if you think that's true.
that's
So I made
right.
him a donkey. with
Okay.
donkey's ears. Like in Pinocchio.
Okay.
And his barber fell into a
Hole, and he was like, Midas has donkey's ears.
and then that also that.
And then when the wind blew through the reeds that grew up from the hole, it would say Midas has donkey's ears.
I remember that story now. Hey, this is another important Lydian king. We've already talked about Croesus. So this is him lamenting his defeat because if you remember, he asked the Oracle of Delphi whether it was a good idea to attack the Persian Empire. He's like, wow, we got this new kid on the block, Cyrus. He's conquering all these people, but he's like, surely they're not as great as I am. And so he asked the Oracle what would happen, and they said, sure, if you attack them, a great empire will fall. He thought that meant them. He didn't know it meant him. So he attacks. He's going to be captured, and Cyrus is going to keep him around for a while as kind of like a pet almost. He's going to show him off. He's like, hey, look, I captured this great king. And he's eventually going to have him executed. I forgot how he was executed, but it was through a form of torture. So it's pretty brutal. Yeah. So yeah, the Persians really love different kinds of brutal execution. Like one of their favorites was they got elephants from India.
Oh, they taught them how to crush every bone in a person's body.
Well,
That's right, man.
they taught them how to they'd have the guards tie somebody down the ground, taught them how to step on your head.
Jesus.
It's kind of like pop it like a grape. So
They would
that was-
they would break every bone in your body with the elephant, and then the last thing they break is your head.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I'd see like from what I read, it was always the head. They always like the head. The Greeks are eventually going to do it too when they get elephants later. So pretty brutal. Here's Cyrus the Great. Of course, this is an artist's interpretation, but this is from his time. Yeah, they like themselves some braided beards, braided hair, things like that. So it was the big style. Their religion was Zoroastrianism, something like Zoroastrianism, where they believed like there was like two gods and one was good, one was evil, and they were always at war with one another. It's pretty much extinct now.
There's a legend of dogs, or wolves. Yeah, it's wolves. But it's a black and white wolf or dog. I forget what it was.
No.
It's that if you see something, if you see the white dog, which is good, if you see that something good is gonna happen to you, but if you see the black dog, something bad's gonna happen to you, and they're always together.
Huh. Well, I'll keep that in mind. If I never see wolves anyway, so I mean,
It's kind of like a black cat versus
yeah, it
a
is like a
cat.
black cat.
It's like, why do you hate black cats? Black cats are awesome.
Or
I
like,
love my black cats.
or like the white buffalo. You know, if like there's like an
She's
albino
such a
buffalo,
girl. She's
like
such
Native
a
Americans
girl.
consider it sacred.
Oh, but I love her. I love my black cats.
Hey, all right. So Cyrus is going to take over areas like Babylon, and when he does so, he's actually going to set free the Jewish people and let them go back home, and he's going to help them rebuild their temple to God. So for Jewish people, Cyrus the Great was known as a really, really, really good guy, right?
That's rare.
Because before this time, they had been in exile, they'd been enslaved, and they weren't even allowed to practice their religion. So he's going to allow them to do that, which goes to show just how the Persians were very open and accepting of those under them, as long as they paid homage, right? So as long as you said, I'm the king, I'll let you do whatever you want. There's some artwork, of course, from Babylon.
Graffiti.
Graffiti.
A cow griffin thing?
A cow griffin
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, there is a cow in the back, and the front looks like hippo, but then there's horns, and then there's wings.
Interesting. To me, I kind of draw like a similarity with like Aztec art, kind of like especially the face, because like Aztecs really like fierce-looking animal things and stuff like that. Hey, let's go ahead and get our notes for the day. All right, so Ionia.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bunch of Greek colonies
Yeah.
made by the Ionians.
Yeah. Who are they related to that we've talked about?
Greeks.
Yeah, but which ones?
The Greeks.
Athenians, yeah. To the Athenians. We'll put Ionians here as well.
Yeah, they came from Athens or other Ionian cities.
Yeah, very good. So Greek colonies related to the Athenians, it's in the Ionians, and they're along the coast of, today it's modern day Turkey. In fact, the Ionian ruins, there's more ruins from these guys left over from the other Greeks. So if you go to the modern country of Turkey today, you can find more Greek ruins than in Greece. It's kind of weird. Along the coast,
Modern day
Persia, yeah, we could put like Turkey. Of course, Turkey doesn't exist yet.
What about Japan?
Yeah, they had themselves a name. All right, so,
Turkey.
and these people, how does Lydia come into play in what we're talking about right now? What does Lydia have to do with any of this? What does Lydia try to do? What do they do to the Ionians?
Like,
Because they went
They want that, but that was that they are the
So they
dominant.
took over.
Mhm.
Become mutual friends.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, we fought you. We were bad, but now we're good.
Yeah, so they wanted power and influence. They wanted access to the ocean.
And then
So-
they're like, hey, let's just be friends. Yeah,
Yeah, they
friendship.
Like your book's kind of nice saying that they were like had a friendly siege. What they're saying here is they just didn't slaughter everybody, right? So
they took over Ionia, but
now they took their freedom, and freedom is very important to the Greeks.
Yeah, but they had a really good king. They had a nice king.
and it's good as long as you get a good king. But we're lenient. Let's give it lenient. So here we have Greek people who are related to the other Greeks. These guys are going to take over, but when they take over, they're going to be, they're like, okay, we don't like it, but we're going to deal with it. But then this guy gets involved, and it's going to totally throw things in flux. So what does Cyrus do?
Takes over like everything that everyone's ever touched or seen.
Yeah. So he will found the Persian Empire. And then he's going to conquer who?
Everyone.
Yeah, but who are we talking about so far?
Lydia.
Yeah, conquers Lydia. Let's see. So now we don't want to get
He
Cyrus.
invited the other colonies to
So
join us. We'll be invaded.
right.
And then his son started conquering everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then your next king, Darius, or what would be?
You can say Darius. If you want to.
His name was like Darius.
Yeah, Darius. And the only reason I know that is because somebody who actually really knew a lot about it told me that, so I trust him. All right, so Darius. So yeah, he's the one who's going to actually
He's
start.
kind of not very smart.
It's
Yep.
pronounced Darius. I'm kidding.
Normally, but I knew an archaeologist who was an expert in this field, and he told me it was Darius. So I go with it. Yeah, I know. In English, if somebody has that name, we just say, "Oh yeah, Darius," you know. So like, or Dorian or something like that. All right, so yeah, he's going to. So he's going to take all of Ionia.
He tried to get the what's it called? Scythians.
Yeah. He's gonna war with Scythians, if you want to call them that, and we're just going to call them early Russians. And yeah, they were known as being very warlike and barbaric. In fact, they didn't even really have any villages or anything like that. They were
They didn't really
nomadic
settle.
people. Yeah. They did a lot of their fighting on horseback, a lot of raiding and things like that.
That would be known as what like they call now as snipers.
You know what's funny to me?
What's that?
You cannot conquer Russia.
Well, nobody has yet. Well, yeah, somebody has.
Russians.
Genghis Khan. The Khan.
Yeah.
He doesn't count.
He went from the south. Everyone else has tried to go in from west.
Well, yeah, the
Going
key is
anywhere
don't
from
go in the
top
winter,
is
right?
a bad idea. Russia is cold.
Cannot be.
Except for getting his back in the phone.
Now it's very neutral.
So he's going to declare war on Greece. All right, so now here's the question. Why
Just nuke them.
does Persia want to have a war with Greece? That's the connection we really
They
want
want
to
to
make
expand
out of
their
all
empire.
this.
Because they want Greece.
Okay, they want to expand their empire. Hey, Jay, did you set up?
Jade, you sit all the way up for me. Thank you. So here's the thing. Okay, they want to expand. He is mad at the Greeks, one people in particular. What did the Greeks do to make him so mad? Jaden, sit all the way up. I'm going to have you stand up, buddy.
They had a little revolt.
They have a revolt. So yeah. So the Ionians revolt against Persia. So that's step one. What's step two to make Persia mad at the rest of the Greeks?
I can't read the one. I don't say them.
Why did Persia attempt to invade Greece? So, with that question, first step, Ionians are like, we're tired of Persians being in charge of us, let's revolt. Step two, what happens to make Darius mad?
Scythians.
Yeah, but I mean mad at Greeks. Because the Scythians are up here, the Greeks are over here. So the Greeks, while he's doing this, the Greeks are like, hey, let's revolt. Yeah, Athens, because they're cousins.
Athens helps them.
Yeah, sent a navy to fight Persia. Did they win or lose?
They lost.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put here in brackets, lost. Or unsuccessful. And so that's why. And so the emperor is gonna be super mad at that. And Darius,
And then Athens is gonna know it's screwed up.
they're gonna make it okay, will vow revenge. And what did he have his servants say every day?
Okay.
Do not forget Athens.
Yeah.
He said it 3 times, in fact, and only
When he sat down.
That's right. So he's going to be really, really upset about all this. And he's going to vow, one day I'm going to have revenge. So keep that in mind. So this is all building up one thing after another. First, the Greeks have too many people, so they send them off to live somewhere else. Then somebody's going to take over them. And then that somebody who took over them is going to get in the war and lose. Now the people there will revolt. They're going to try to help out their cousins, and next thing you know, world war. So it's like, it's complicated. This major wars are like this. It's not always simple, right?
That's World War I.
Yeah, World War I is super complicated how it started. There was a lot of entanglements that was in play before the assassination of Franz Duke Ferdinand. And then when that happened, it started unraveling. But even that unraveling had a lot of different components to it. So major wars are very complicated. It's hard to even, like people ask, like, why did a war happen? Well, sometimes you got to sit down 10 minutes and talk about it because it's not very easy. I'm going to take a picture of this and post it on the Google Classroom. Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to talk about the second half. And just as a reminder, we're going to have a sub on Wednesday so I can give the seniors their test.
Okay.
These things happen. But we're not going to have a test or anything this week. I do want to have a quiz next week, but I'll let you know more about that later.
Time is it? Oh,
It is 9:23.
When we get out of here.
9:50.
Excuse me.
So what we do.
So it's so quiet because Rosanna isn't here. Trent and Rosanna. I
Yeah.
want to bring the new Rosanna.
All right, folks, that's going to end for the lecture portion today. Make sure you read this chapter, both halves. You want to make sure you read, starts on page 56, and read the whole chapter. We'll talk about the second half tomorrow. I'm going to post your notes up in a minute. I wasn't able to grade the test this weekend because I brought home the wrong set of work. And so that's my mistake, but I'm working on that this morning. All right, talk to you later, kids.